For instance, I started growing this little squash here. It's a hybrid of the acorn squash. I liked it because it looked real nice and what have you, and it tastes real good. The other summer squash, this is like, I don't know if it's a hybrid between a summer and a winter squash, but it's pretty, got a nice skin, so it'll last for a few months like most of the winter squash. But like a lot of the summer squash, this attracted the squash beetle,
Ooh.
a squash borer, excuse me, which goes right into the vine. If you ever plant squash and you look at the vine one day and the vine has a hump in it or it's swollen and it looks like part of it's drying and striated and almost becoming like cloth torn, the threads torn apart, that's because of the borer beetle. So I'm not planting this anymore. And the other things are just as, I mean, they taste just as good, flavorful, and they don't attract that particular insect. So you learn a lot in the process of growing stuff. You know what's going to be attracted, what's limit stuff. Like the velvet bean. I suggest all of you check this thing out. Velvet bean. It has, and if you follow my post, some of my posts, you'll see some of the things that I put up. I just put up a post on that last night, and the velvet bean has levodopa, the entire plant, and levodopa is the precursor for dopamine, that feel-good hormone, and it stimulates nerve function. And what they found is that a lot of people who have Alzheimer's have limited or limiting nerve function. So they've been using this traditionally in Ayurveda or Ayurvedic medicine to treat Alzheimer's and other forms of brain issues. So my background is an herbalist also, which is what compelled me even more. I started growing herbs before I started growing veggies. And I started growing veggies after I stumbled upon a watermelon one day in my herb garden because I was spitting the seeds out. And then the following year, I'm sitting up there eating another watermelon, spitting the seeds out, and I was like, "What is that? I have a watermelon growing. Oh my God!" So that's the wood chips also are very, very good at creating mycorrhizal flora that is what feeds the plants. Because as the wood chips break down, you get the mushroom or what have you, which is the fruiting body of the mycorrhizal um, spores and so on. And so they feed the plant. The roots interact with those plant leaves. They bring in sugar down to the roots. The mycorrhiza gets the sugar, and it gives the plants nutrients. It's kind of like a chelating process because our bodies can't process raw metal and minerals and what have you. So we have to get it through the plants. The plants get it through the mycorrhizal or plan to grow. So it's a good tool for planning and assessing as you move through the gardening process. She also recommended we get a number of books. So one of them is this book, The Permacultural Market Garden, which teaches you how to plan out your gardening so that you can harvest enough food to sell. If you're interested in that, I saw a post a couple of days ago or so. I can just talk.
I want to ask you this: some people don't have access to land. They may be in an apartment or they just don't have space to plant in the ground. You got any tips or anything you can offer these people?
Of course, a bucket, a pot, a tub, a tray. One of the things that I like to do, and this is even if you don't have balcony space or even a kitchen window, is sprouting. People don't see sprouting as gardening, but it is because you're planting seeds. You're not necessarily putting it in a soil medium, but you're germinating the seeds and they're growing. The roots come and the leaves come depending on how long you allow it to germinate. So you can get a bunch of small seeds. I like mung beans. I like lentils. I like fenugreek, fennel. So these are some of these are food slash herbs. Like fenugreek is an herb, but it's also an awesome plant that has so much physical. I mean, so much benefit, so many phytonutrients, and so much benefit to the body. And also fennel, same thing. And a lot of times when you get in these herbs that are aromatic herbs, they get rid of parasites in the body as well. So you're talking about taking care of the internal garden, if you will, with what it is that you're producing. So it's good to be mindful of what these things bring to the body. What I like growing things that are prolific, but I have enough medicines to take care of me and my family and some more people. And the things that I do grow, I like for them to be long standing. If they don't grow quick, because I'm up here in northern climate, so I can't grow things very fast. And then my season is not year long. So the things that I do grow, I like for them to be prolific and also to be things that I can hold on to. Now, I mentioned those two little ornamental squashes there. And even ornamental things, because they have these little flat ornamental pumpkins. So I tried it, I cooked it, and I ate it, and I was like, oh my God, it tastes like it was sweet. And so that's what compelled me to look at all these other squash. Now, this is typically my favorite. This is where I started with a butternut squash. I've been growing from the seeds from one butternut squash I got 4 years ago, every year since, and I have not bought another butternut squash since. One year I had like 40 or 50 squash in various sizes and stuff. The biggest one being like almost 7 pounds. Same thing last year, almost 7 pounds. This one here is a little less than 2 pounds. And I wound up growing this little thing that I was like, maybe this is a hybrid, because I tried to grow some kombucha squash, which is like a Japanese pumpkin, excuse me, alongside my butternut. So I thought they had crossbred, because this thing starts out really, really dark and eventually turns orange. I found out this is a honey nut squash, which is like the butternut, but sweeter. I mean, it's like, and it has a backdrop of literally a honey-like taste. It's not as sweet as honey, but it has that honey undertone, undernote, whatever you call it. So now I grew this outside. This is my only one that I had this year. Last year I think I had about 3 or 4, but they didn't get this big. They didn't get this big. And as you can see, I got a really big head. And this is as big as my head, around 8 pounds, 8 or 9 pounds. But so I grow this every year along with these other two squash, right? Now, remember I said I thought that these two, this one and another one that didn't produce, were hybrids. These two got together through cross-pollination, and they created this beast. Now, the biggest one of these that I get every year is close to 7 pounds. So it's much bigger than this one. This thing weighs 9.8 ounces. So it's 2 pounds plus, almost 3 pounds bigger than the largest squash, butternut squash that I've ever grown. It's between this one and this one, and you can see, the curved shape. That's not pumpkin-like, right? So it's very much similar in shape from top to bottom. It's got the wide bottom that is like where the seeds are housed. What I found when I cut one of these open, because I made some stews the other day out of this, and instead of just being hollow at the bottom with the seed pocket like this one, this seed pocket runs up to probably about 2/3 of the way before it gets to just meet at the top. Pretty much similar to the cavity inside this one where the seeds are located. And you can see the lines on this one, very much similar to the pumpkin, but it's not as deep. And with most fruits and veggies, guess where most of the nutrients are?
In the skin.
Either in the skin or just below the skin.
Mm.
So when you peel the skin off, you're throwing away the majority of the nutrients.
Mm.
So you want to start using it. And if you don't eat the skin, what you can do is you can puree it and you can put it in the stews. Some people even make breads with that pulp and what have you. You can juice it, and then you also it makes great compost. You probably throw in a container like so, or a cup, and just run water on it and just do like this to get some of that sticky stuff off. Then I'll strain it. Then I'll put it out on like a napkin, and I'll put it out either on the counter or I'll put it outside in the sun if it's not too hot, because I'm not trying to bake them. But I'll put them out and I'll just let them dry over the course of a day or two. Put them in a container like this, and then just right on the outside of the container. Like these are from my honey nuts, and this is the first batch of my hybrids. And I'll put the year on it also, so that if I don't use all these seeds next year. And what I'll do also is I like to share seeds, so I give seeds away. So I've mandated that if you come on this property, you're going to take something with you. You're going to take a seed or some seeds or some plants with you.